Today's objective is I can find the degrees in a circle by using benchmark angles. So in our last video, we talked about all of our review vocab and our new vocab. We took a look at all of the benchmark angles and what those looked like within a circle. One quick thing that I wanted to remind us of is a protractor is a tool used to measure angles. So this is the protractor that we're really familiar with. It starts at 0 and goes all the way to 180 degrees, right? We've got a perfect straight angle here. Well, if we put two protractors together, we get a perfect circle that goes up to 360 degrees. So if it's helpful for you to think about protractors when we're talking about measuring angles and when we're talking about circles, use this to help you. So today for our We Do problem, we're going to start off with a quick note sheet. So I want you to pause this video and draw your 4 circles just like mine. Next up, I want you to draw your center point in each of the 4 circles. In our first circle, I want you to draw your starting point line. And then we're going to draw our arc going a full rotation around. We learned in our last video that the degrees in a circle is 360 degrees. So go ahead and label your angle. Moving on to our next circle. This one, I want you to split in half and draw your arc. We learned in our last video that a half circle or a straight angle measures 180 degrees. Now the other side will also measure 180 degrees. And 180 plus 180 equals 360 degrees. Now looking at our third circle. This time, just like our last video, we're going to split it into 4 pieces. So I split it in half and then split it in half again. We know that half of 180 degrees, or a quarter of 360 degrees, is 90 degrees. So I'm going to draw my one rotation, 90 degrees. We can label that with our square corner that tells us we've got a right angle. So now I'm going to show each rotation until I make a full circle, and I'm going to label each with 90 degrees. We know that 90 plus 90 is 180, 90 plus 90 is 180, and when we add 180 plus 180, we get 360. So 4 rotations of 90 degrees gives us a perfect circle, or 360 degrees. Now for our last circle, we're going to split it into 8 pieces. So first I split it in half, split it in half again, then split each of those in half. We know that half of 90 is 45 degrees. So we're going to show one rotation is 45 degrees, and we could prove this by adding 45 plus 45, and we get 90. So we're going to keep rotating and show our full rotation going 45 degrees for each turn. So now we have 8 rotations, 45 degrees in each rotation. When we add this all up, we get 360 degrees. So these are just a few different ways that we could split up our full circle. Just 3 different ways that we could divide up 360 degrees, and these are with our benchmark angles. We also learned in our last video that we can turn or rotate in degrees of 1 or 10 degrees at a time, or I could turn 20 degrees at a time. And we can show these rotations and these degrees using pictures, just like we have here, or using tables like we used in our last video. So for this next question, we're going to use pictures and a table to solve the problem. Amir is turning around on his bike. With each turn, he rotates 45 degrees. How many times will he need to rotate to turn a full 180 degrees? So first thing I'm doing is I'm picturing what's going on in this problem. So Amir is on his bike and he wants to turn around. So he's moving the handlebars to make his bike turn. Every time he turns, he's rotating 45 degrees. So right away, I'm thinking about our benchmark angles and the pictures that we just drew. So each rotation in this problem is 45 degrees. So every time he rotates, he's going about that much. We want to find out how many times he needs to rotate to turn a full 180 degrees. So we're going to use our picture and our chart to help us solve. First, let's draw our table. So our table is just a way that we can organize information. So in our table, we need to include rotations and degrees. I know from our problem that he rotates 45 degrees with each turn. So with one rotation, he's rotating 45 degrees. So with every rotation, we're going to be adding 45 degrees. And we're going to stop once we reach 180 degrees. Then we'll know we're done. So with one rotation, 45 degrees. Let's look at a second rotation. So we need to add another 45 degrees. So we add 45 plus 45. 5 plus 5 is 10. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So that's 90 degrees. So that's our second rotation. We're not at 180 degrees, so we keep turning. So now we're on our third rotation. We stopped at 90 degrees. We're going to add another 45 degrees. 0 plus 5 is 5. 9 plus 4 is 13. So now we're at 135 degrees. And our third rotation. So we're not at 180 yet, so we keep going. We're on our fourth rotation. I'm going to add another 45 degrees. So we take 135 and add 45. 5 plus 5 is 10. 3 plus 4 is 7. Plus 1 is 8. And I bring down my 1. So now we're at 180 degrees. This is our fourth rotation. And we're going to stop there because our problem is only asking us about how many times he needs to rotate to turn a full 180 degrees. So we go back to our table. It took us 4 rotations or 4 turns to get to 180 degrees. So our answer choice is 4. Answer choice B. Awesome job. So make sure you take a picture of your note sheet and your work for this problem and submit it. Great job, 4th grade.